Have you ever just stopped and thought, my body is kind of weird? Full of these strange quirks and features that don't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. Well, what if I told you your body is actually a living museum? It's holding on to secrets and stories from a past so deep, it's almost impossible to imagine. So, let's go exploring.
Let's start with a famous one, the appendix. We all know someone, maybe it was even you, who had to get it taken out. For ages, we've thought of it as this useless ticking time bomb just waiting to go off. So why do we even have it?
And then you've got wisdom teeth. So many of us have to get them yanked out because our jaws are just too small to hold them. It feels like a pretty major design flaw, doesn't it? But here's the thing. These aren't random glitches. They're actually clues. They're echoes from our ancient ancestors, literally written into our anatomy. And today, we're going to learn how to read them. Now, to understand these clues, we first need to get our heads around one really important concept, vestigiality. This one word is basically the key that unlocks this entire story.
So a vestigial structure is pretty much an evolutionary leftover. It's a part of our body that was super important for a distant ancestor, but over time, it's either lost its main job or its purpose has totally changed.
Okay, but here is the single most important thing to remember, and it's a mistake people make all the time. Vestigial does not mean useless. Just because a body part lost its original job doesn't mean it has no job at all. Evolution, it turns out, is an amazing recycler.
In fact, Charles Darwin himself pointed this out way back when. He saw that nature doesn't just toss things in the trash. An organ can lose its main purpose, but get a brand new gig doing something completely different.
So this really breaks it down. You've got the original function, what a body part did millions of years ago for an ancestor. And then you have a potential secondary function, a new or maybe just a smaller job it might have today. Keep that difference in mind as we start the tour of our body's museum. All right, let's kick things off with a few of the most famous exhibits, the ones you've probably heard about before, the big names.
First up, our tailbone, the coccyx. Yep, it's what's left of an actual tail that our primate ancestors used for balance. We're not swinging from branches these days, but it got repurposed. It's now a critical anchor point for some of our pelvic muscles. Then there are those wisdom teeth. They were super useful for our ancestors who had bigger jaws and ate tough raw plants. Now, for a lot of us, they're just a headache. And of course, the appendix. It's likely a shrunken-down piece of an organ that helped early plant eaters digest things like leaves. But it's not useless. Newer evidence suggests it's kind of like a safe house for good gut bacteria and plays a part in our immune system. Okay, that was the warm-up. Now for the really fun part. Let's move on to some exhibits you might not even know you have. In fact, you can find some of these on your own body, like right now.
Okay, let's do a little test. Some of us are walking around with an extra muscle in our forearm, a leftover from ancestors who used it for climbing. Do you have it? Let's find out.
Seriously, go ahead and try this. Put your arm on a table or your leg with your palm facing up. Now, touch your thumb to your pinky and just gently bend your wrist up a little. Do you see a tendon that pops up right in the middle? That's it. That's the palmaris longus. If you don't see one, don't sweat it. You're not alone.
This image shows you exactly what to look for. Those green arrows are pointing right at the palmaris longus tendon. If that's what your wrist looks like, you've got the muscle. But if your wrist looks more like image D, then you're just part of an evolutionary trend where this muscle is slowly vanishing.
So how rare is it to be missing it? Well, according to one big study, about 79% of people have it in both arms, almost 12% have it in just one arm, and a little over 9% of people don't have it at all. And get this, its absence makes absolutely zero difference in your grip strength, which is why it's such a perfect example of a vestigial structure. All right, here's another one that I guarantee you've experienced. That weird, prickly feeling you get when you're cold or scared, goosebumps. That is a direct message from our much, much hairier past.
So at the base of every single hair on your body, there's this teeny tiny muscle called an erector pili. When you get cold or a little freaked out, those muscles all contract. Now for our furry ancestors, this was super useful. It would puff up their fur, which trapped a layer of air to keep them warm, or it would make them look bigger and more intimidating to a predator. For us, since we don't have that thick coat of fur anymore, well, we're just left with the goosebumps. It's this fascinating, totally useless reflex.
Okay, ready for one more little self-test? This time, I want you to feel the very top edge of your ear. You might find another cool little evolutionary souvenir hiding there.
See if you can find a little bump or a thickened bit of cartilage right on the rim. It's called Darwin's tubercle. This is a leftover from ancestors who had pointed ears, just like a lot of other mammals and primates still have today. And what's wild is that how common it is varies all over the world. Only about 10% of people in Spain have it, but it's found in over half the population in Sweden. So go on, have a feel.
Okay, for our last stop on this tour, we're going to look at something a little different. It's often mistaken for a vestigial trait, but the real story is actually way more interesting.
So, why do men have nipples? The answer isn't that they were useful on some ancient male ancestor. No, it's a quirk of how every single human being gets built in the first place.
And here's why. It's pretty fascinating. For the first few weeks in the womb, all human embryos are following the exact same developmental blueprint. And that basic plan includes making nipples. It's not until around week 6 or 7 that a gene on the Y chromosome, if it's there, kicks into gear and starts steering development down the male path. But by then, the nipples have already been built. And since there's really no evolutionary disadvantage to keeping them, they just stick around. It's a perfect reminder of our shared starting point.
So when you put it all together, from our tailbone to the muscle that might be in your arm to the little bumps on our ears, our bodies are just filled with these echoes, these incredible signatures of a deep, shared history.
See, these things aren't just weird glitches or design flaws. As one source puts it, they are a powerful signature of evolution itself. They're evidence that it happens. Each little vestige tells a story about where we came from, about ancestors who climbed and ate tough leaves, and maybe even puffed up their fur to scare off a predator.
And this leaves us with one last, really fascinating thought. Evolution isn't over. It's happening right now. Our modern lifestyles, our technology, it's all shaping us. And it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? 1,000,000 years from now, what parts of us will be the curious little vestiges that future humans study in their body museums?